You ever think you're living the dream? Career's killing it, beautiful wife, house in the suburbs with the kind of landscaping that screams middle-class American success? Yeah, me too. Until I walked into my house at 12:47 a.m. with a bottle of Napa Valley Merlot in one hand and 2 first-class tickets to Maui in the other. Anniversary surprise. Instead, I got surprised. My name's Jason Grant. I'm a senior partner at a Boston law firm, mostly criminal defense and high-stakes divorce. Irony's a cruel mistress, huh? I walk in. Lights off. House dead quiet. Except a faint creak from upstairs. Bedroom creak. At first I thought maybe Natalie, my wife of 7 years, couldn't sleep. But then I heard it again. Rhythmic. Too rhythmic. Something I hadn't heard in months. I dropped the wine bottle. Just let it fall on the hallway rug. Soft thud. No glass shattered. Pity phone still in my coat pocket. I dialed Nate, my law partner and best friend since college. Told him to be ready to post bail. He just groaned and said, "Don't kill anyone, Jay." I told him I'd try not to. I moved like I was back in basic training, silent, methodical. On the coffee table, his pants. Not mine. Black slim-fit slacks, and a wallet sticking out like a bad habit. I pulled it. Jeffrey Kane. I froze. VP of operations at the same finance firm Natalie worked at. Sleazebag with a $200 haircut and a Rolex he probably leased. I'd met him once, at a holiday mixer. He'd said I looked more intimidating in person. Guess he was about to find out how right he was. Next to the wallet, his phone. Unlocked. Rookie. Mistake. I called the number listed as Sarah, assuming it was his wife. She picked up on the third ring, voice sharp like broken glass. "Jeff, if you're not dead, you better be close. It was your daughter's birthday, you absolute piece of—" "Hi, Mrs. Kane," I said, voice calm like a surgeon's. "Jeffrey's a little occupied right now, with my wife, in our bed." Silence, then a soft, "Who is this?" "Jason Grant. Natalie's husband. Pleased to meet you, I guess." A pause. Then she whispered, "Kill him." Tempting. She hung up. I sat down in my armchair, the one that still had my book and reading glasses on the side table, like nothing had changed. Like the man I was an hour ago still lived here, but I wasn't him anymore. Upstairs, bed frame knocking against the wall. I waited. Natalie's moan echoed faintly. I let it sear through me, let it brand itself onto every fiber of my being. Then I heard footsteps. Coming down, voices murmuring, laughing. I clicked on the lamp beside me, and there they were. Jeffrey, gloriously naked, looking smug and hungover on ego. Natalie in my robe, the robe I wore when I made her Sunday pancakes. She froze. He staggered back like he'd seen the ghost of a court subpoena. I didn't say a word, just stared at him, then at her. Jeffrey laughed nervously. "Jason, man, look, this isn't what it—" I pulled the Glock 19 from under the side table. Jeffrey's laugh died. Natalie dropped to her knees, sobbing. "You like drinking my whiskey?" I said, my voice low. "Lying in my bed? Maybe you'll enjoy what comes next, too." I didn't shoot him, not yet, but I did fire one round, into the banister behind him. Splinters rained like confetti. He peed himself. Actual grown man puddle, right there on the hardwood. Natalie screamed. "Now you listen to me, Kane," I said. "You're gonna stand there while I explain a few things. You'll nod. And then you're gonna call your wife. And you're gonna tell her where you are, who you're with, and why your ass is leaking dignity onto my damn floor." Natalie whimpered. "Jason, please." "Shut up," I growled. "You get your moment next." I looked Jeffrey dead in the quay. "You're not walking away from this, not clean, not with your job, not with your family. And definitely not with your balls if you so much as twitch." He nodded. I smiled. Good boy. Jeffrey stood there, still naked, still trembling, a stain of fear soaking the hardwood beneath him. I could practically see the gears in his head grinding, desperate for an escape route that didn't involve a hospital or a courtroom, or both. "Sit," I barked. He sat. Right there on the stairs, his dignity dripping down each riser. Natalie tried to move toward me. "Jason, this wasn't supposed to happen." I cut her off with a look. "You don't get to speak until I say so. You've had months to come clean. You picked lies instead." She stopped cold. I turned back to Kane. "So, Jeffy boy, let's talk details. How long?" He glanced at Natalie, then at the Glock still dangling in my grip. 6 months. I nodded like I was taking notes. "How many times?" He hesitated. "I swear to God, if you lie, I don't know. A lot. Dozens. It started at the firm. We'd stay late. One thing led to another. You used protection? I asked, cocking my head. He blinked. Natalie stepped, her voice brittle. No, but I'm on birth control. Oh great, I chuckled loud and bitter. So I don't just get to lose my wife, I might get an STD too. What a bonus. I walked over to the mantel and picked up our wedding photo. Us on the beach, wind in her hair, my hand on her back, my heart in her hands. I threw it across the room, glass shattered like everything else. Natalie flinched. Kane damn near jumped out of his skin. Did you ever love me, Nat? Or was this just convenient until something shinier came along? Her mouth opened, then closed again. Nothing came out. That told me everything. I'm done here, I said finally. But you're not. I tossed Jeffrey his phone. Call your wife. Speaker on. His hands shook so hard he dropped it once. Finally it connected. Sarah, he croaked. It's me. A pause. Where the hell are you? I'm at Jason Grant's house. More silence with Natalie. Oh my God, she said, then quieter. You didn't. Yeah, I did. Then she laughed. A cold, dry laugh. You absolute idiot, I've got your daughter's birthday balloon still up in the kitchen. She cried herself to sleep, you know that? And you're out screwing someone's wife? Sarah, please. No. Save it for the judge. I'll have divorce papers on your desk before you finish. Crying. She hung up. I grinned. She sounds lovely. Can't wait to meet her in court. Kane looked like he wanted to crawl out of his own skin. Look, Jason, what do you want from me? Oh, that's the fun part, I said. See, I'm not just your wife's husband. I'm also one of the top 3 divorce lawyers in this entire state. His mouth fell open. The other 2, I continued. They work for me. Natalie gasped. Jason, still not your turn, I snapped. I began pacing. You, Jeffy boy, are about to experience what it's like to be cross-examined by someone who has nothing left to lose and all the time in the world. I'll lose my job, he stammered. You'll lose a lot more than that, I said. See, your company has a morality clause, and you're the VP. I already called HR. They'll be thrilled to know you've been using company time, company email, and your own secretary to indulge in an extended, extracurricular activity. He turned pale. And then, there's the civil suit, alienation of affection, emotional damages, loss of consortium. I'm going to make a fortune off your dumb choices. I leaned in. Oh, and I already spoke to your wife. She's pressing charges too. Sexual harassment, misconduct, fidelity. She's got texts, dates, receipts. You can't be serious, he mumbled. I smiled coldly. I haven't even started being serious. Finally, I turned to Natalie. She looked like a ghost. Tears streaked her face. Her mouth opened, but nothing coherent came out. I sighed. I was going to take you to Maui. I had it all planned. Sunrise on the beach, a private chef, renewal of our vows. Instead, I got this. You, in my robe. Screwing a man who's too dumb to put his phone on silent. She dropped to her knees. Jason, No, stop. You've done enough. Pack a bag. You're going to your sister's. She shook her head, desperate. Don't do this, please. It was just sex. It didn't mean anything. That's the worst part, I whispered. It meant everything to me. Then I turned to Kane one last time. Get out of my house. But know this. You've declared war on someone who eats liars. For breakfast, and I'm starving. Jeffrey scrambled for his clothes like a roach exposed to light. Pants on backwards, belt half hanging. I didn't care. Watching him stumble out my front door with pea-soaked pride trailing behind him was the best visual therapy I could have asked for. Natalie stood frozen at the base of the stairs. She looked, smaller. Not physically, but like something in her had collapsed under the weight of her own choices. Your bag's in the closet. Grab it. I've already called Rebecca. She's expecting you, I said, voice flat. I don't want to go there, she whispered. You don't get to want things right now. Her eyes filled again. I didn't flinch. Not anymore. When she was finally gone, no tears, no dramatic goodbye, just the quiet click of the door behind her. I sat back down in that same armchair, poured myself a glass of the Merlot I'd meant to share with her and made a list. Not a metaphorical list. A literal one. Yellow legal pad, black ink. Title, Retribution. At the top, Jeffrey Kane. Beneath it, Meridian Financial. Then, Damage Control. I called Dave Harrington, my ride or die, in tailored suits and Harvard law degrees. He answered on the first ring. Tell me you didn't kill him, he said instead of hello. Close call. I'm guessing we're past the talk it out phase? Oh, we're building a bonfire. He arrived an hour later with espresso. a portable printer, and a grin that meant trouble. By noon, we had dug up everything we needed to detonate Jeffrey's career. 3 previous sexual harassment settlements, all swept under Meridian's corporate rug. 2 interns, 1 assistant VP, all silenced with NDAs and fat checks. Guess our boy's got a type, Dave muttered, scrolling through internal complaint summaries. And a pattern, I added. Sarah Kane, his now ex-wife, or soon-to-be, had already sent over copies of his text logs, travel receipts, and enough screenshots to fill a trial exhibit binder. Want to go nuclear? I asked Dave. He just smiled. Thought you'd never ask. We filed 4 lawsuits in 24 hours. 1. Alienation of affection, personal claim, direct hit to Jeffrey's bank account. 2. Negligent supervision against Meridian for enabling a predator in the workplace. 3. Hostile work environment with testimonies from 2 former employees we found in LinkedIn DMs. And 4. Civil harassment. Just for spice, but I wasn't done. I called in a favor from a reporter at the Boston Herald I'd helped dodge a libel case 2 years back. You want exclusive access to a scandal that'll fry the circuits at Channel 5? I asked. Are you serious? She gasped. This is gold. Send your best photographer, and tell legal they'll want extra toner for the cease and desists. That same afternoon, the story broke online. VP caught in office affair with employee while dodging multiple misconduct claims. Photo of Jeffrey mid-walk of shame, carrying his shoes and ducking from my front lawn. Bless that zoom lens. By the time Meridian's board got wind of it, the hashtag #ThatCheer Jeffrey Kane was my boss was trending on X. 5 more women came forward before sundown. Next morning, a press release hit the wires. Meridian Financial places VP of Operations on indefinite leave pending internal investigation. Translation. He's toast, Natalie texted that night. I saw the news. Was that you? I stared at the screen for a full minute before replying. Every bit of it. She didn't answer. I didn't expect her to. Day 3, Sarah showed up at our office. Same steely look as before, but something different behind her. Eyes, focus. She'd cut her hair, wore a dark blue suit, no wedding ring. I want to help, she said simply. Good, I said. You're in. We sat in the conference room, built a timeline, laid out legal angles like generals planning. A siege. She wasn't just angry, she was motivated and sharp. I offered her a clerkship in our firm's family law division. She accepted without hesitation. That night, Dave and I toasted at the bar downstairs from the office. To scorched earth, he said, raising his glass. To cleaning up the ashes, I replied. I walked home alone past shuttered cafes and empty sidewalks. Somewhere above, a plane blinked across the sky, probably headed to Hawaii. The trip we were supposed to take. Didn't regret missing it. The real vacation had just started. Monday morning, Meridian Financial's headquarters was a hornet's nest in a power suit. Dave and I showed up unannounced. We weren't there for a conversation. We were there to serve war papers, armed with a process server, a court reporter, and a manila folder thicker than a Wall Street bonus check. We rode the elevator to the 41st floor, like we owned it. In a way, we soon would. Richard Tanner, Meridian's CEO, met us with a forced smile and eyes that screamed legal nightmare. Mr. Grant, Mr. Harrington, he said, standing behind his imported glass desk. To what do I owe this early visit? I didn't bother with the handshake. You know damn well why we're here. Dave nodded to the process server, who stepped forward and dropped a lawsuit the size of a Stephen King novel on Tanner's desk. Hostile workplace, negligent oversight, willful concealment, failure to enforce, moral conduct clauses, every last misstep, in black and white. Tanner flipped through the first 10 pages. His smile vanished. These are serious accusations. They're also true, Dave replied, matter of fact. Mr. Connor's actions are under review, Tanner tried. I leaned forward. He was screwing his married secretary in a house paid for by a man your HR department has labeled a priority client. And you knew, because the complaints go back 5 years. Tanner's face tightened. What exactly are you looking for? Justice, I said. And exposure, every filing, every motion, public, transparent, loud. Dave added. Your shareholders might want to ask why you protected a predator who skipped his own daughter's birthday to bed his employee's wife. Tanner sat down, suddenly more gray than executive silver. Off the record, he said quietly. What would it take to make this disappear? I laid out the terms. 7. Figures. Full confession. Public apology. Internal reform. And Jeffrey Kane's career ground to ash. He didn't argue. By Friday, the story was picked up by Forbes, Business Insider, and CNN. Jeffrey's face was everywhere, captioned corporate predator, under lighting that did him no favors. HR sent out a company-wide memo outlining new conduct policies. Sexual harassment training became mandatory. Meridian's board was forced to clean house. And Jeffrey, fired. Officially, with disgrace attached. In bold italics, Sarah Kane filed for full custody the same day. Her statement went viral. If you can abandon your daughter on her birthday to crawl into another woman's bed, you don't get to call yourself dad. Public sympathy was brutal. His LinkedIn looked like a crime scene. He tried damage control, issued a pathetic "I take full responsibility" post. It got ratioed into oblivion. And Natalie? She tried to reach me again. Left a voicemail. Jason, I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry. I miss you. I made the worst mistake of my life. Delete. I'd heard it all before, in courtrooms, in mediation, across the negotiating table. Guilt is a great motivator, but it doesn't resurrect trust, or 7 years of love shredded in someone else's bed. I saw her once at the grocery store 2 weeks later. She looked tired, worn down, eyes shadowed like they hadn't seen sleep or peace in days. She didn't approach me, just stood there by the bananas holding a basket full of microwave dinners, watching me from a distance like a stranger afraid to speak. That was when I knew. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't love her either. She was just someone I used to know. Meanwhile, Sarah had become something else entirely. Focused. Driven. She passed the LSAT with flying colors, took a job clerking for our firm, and turned every betrayal into fuel. When she smiled, it wasn't fake. It was the steel-cut kind, earned, not handed. You ever think this all happened for a reason? She asked me once over late-night case files. I looked at her, then back at the paper trail that had been Jeffrey Kane's professional undoing. No, I said, but I think we gave it one. She smirked. That's good enough for me. The time the first court dates rolled around, I was more prepared than ever. This wasn't just personal anymore. It was precedent. 3 weeks after the lawsuits hit, the deposition phase began, and that's where the fun really started. I watched Jeffrey Kane sit across from me in a beige conference room, flanked by a sweat-soaked defense attorney and a PR rep who looked like she wanted to dissolve into the carpet. I didn't smile, didn't blink, just waited for the stenographer to finish setting up before leaning forward. State your name for the record, I said. He looked like hell, eye bags, unshaven, hands trembling slightly. Jeffrey Michael Kane, he muttered. Occupation? Former vice president of operations at Meridian Financial. Former. Right. I nodded, flipping a page. And how many women employed under you have you engaged in romantic or sexual activity with during your tenure? His lawyer objected. I raised an eyebrow. It's a civil deposition, not a courtroom. He can answer. Jeffrey opened his mouth, then closed it. Opened again. 5, he finally said. That I remember. Dave didn't even flinch, just kept taking notes. We were building a mountain, one disgusting brick at a time. When Sarah gave her statement the next day, it was devastating. She came in cool, poised, wearing a navy suit and no wedding ring. Her voice never cracked once. Jeffrey Kane abandoned our daughter on her 5th birthday to have an affair. He's done this before. I tolerated too much for too long. But when my little girl cried because Daddy didn't show up, that was the end. The court granted her full custody on the spot. Jeffrey didn't contest it. He didn't dare. He moved out of their house that same week, forced to sell it to help cover his legal fees. His new address was a second-floor walk-up in Revere, with water stains on the ceiling and a leaky radiator. He tried getting back into finance. Nobody would touch him. Too toxic, too loud, too public. Last I heard, he was working at a used car lot near Salem, slinging Hondas to disinterested customers who recognized him from Reddit threads and YouTube reaction videos. Oh yeah, the story had gone viral. One of those Reddit confession channels picked it up, added dramatic voiceovers, and turned it into a 6-part audio series. The divorce lawyer who destroyed his wife's affair partner became a trending playlist. Didn't ask for fame, but I didn't mind poetic justice either. And Natalie? She stopped reaching out after the 3rd email. The first had been remorse, the second desperation, the third an apology. Real this time. No excuses, no requests. Just, you were the best thing in my life and I broke it. I hope someday you find something better. Someone better. I truly do, I never replied. I didn't need to. Some apologies don't require responses, they require distance. Still, part of me wondered if I'd ever see her again. Turned out I didn't have to wait long. Dave and I were at the office late on a Thursday. wrapping up a settlement offer from Meridian. They'd agreed to our full terms. 7 figures, policy overhaul, and a confidential letter of apology addressed to me personally. He clapped me on the back. We did it. You torched a whole institution. I didn't start the fire, I said. They just handed me the gasoline. As we packed up, Dave paused. Hey, you ever think about taking some time off? I gave him a look. This is my time off. No, I mean real time off. The Hawaii trip you missed, the vacation house you never used. It's still there, right? It was. Still. In my name. Still untouched. I nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe it's time. 3 days later, I stood on the lanai of my Kauai condo sipping black coffee as the sun spilled gold across the Pacific. The air smelled like salt and hibiscus. My phone buzzed with one text. Sarah. Passed the bar. Got the results today. Thanks. For everything, Jason. I couldn't have done it without you. I smiled. She'd accepted an offer at our firm's family law division. Turned out, there's nothing more powerful than a lawyer who knows what betrayal feels like. As I sipped my coffee, watching surfers dot the waves like commas in a sentence I hadn't finished reading, I realized something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. It had been almost a year. A year since I walked into my house and found 2 strangers where my life used to be. Since then, I'd burned a man's career to the ground, shattered a corporate wall of silence, and helped a woman rebuild her life from the ashes her husband left behind. I wasn't angry anymore. Not sad either, just free. The condo in Kauai had become home. I split my time between there and Boston, only taking high-profile cases I actually wanted. I surfed. I wrote. I didn't think about Natalie anymore, until she showed up on my doorstep. I was watching the sunset when the doorbell rang. It was early, evening, sky a burnt orange watercolor, and I was barefoot in swim trunks with a glass of whiskey in one hand. I opened the door expecting a neighbor. Instead, it was her, Natalie. Different, but still her. Hair shorter, thinner, paler. Her eyes had that same guilt-heavy depth I remembered, but now there was something else behind them, something I couldn't quite name. Hi, she said. I blinked. Wow, that's unexpected. I know, I'm sorry to just show up. Your sister gave me the address. I made a mental note to scold Emily later. I won't stay long, Natalie added. I just needed to see you. There's something I have to tell you. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like the floor might collapse. We sat at the kitchen island, me nursing the whiskey, her clutching a bottle of water like it might explode. I have cancer, she said. The words hung there for a beat. I was diagnosed 6 months ago. Stage 4, ovarian. They gave me a year, if I'm lucky. My jaw clenched. Why are you telling me this? Because I didn't want to die without apologizing. Not like a text, not an email. For real. I need you to know that I never stopped loving you. I looked down at the counter, tracing the grain of the wood with my fingertip. I don't need you to love me back, she said. I just needed to say it. You deserved better than what I gave you. I ruined everything. And I'll live with that, however long that is. She stood, took a deep breath. That's all. I'm sorry I showed up. I'll leave now. But I stopped her, not with words, with a gesture. A quiet shake of the head, a pull of the stool. Beside me, and she sat, we talked. Not about forgiveness, not even about love, just about life. About who we'd been, and who we became after everything broke. 2 hours later, I walked her to the door. I don't know what you were hoping for, Natalie, I said, but I hope you find peace. She nodded, eyes glassy. I think I just did. She turned to go, then hesitated. There's one more thing, she said. She pulled something from her purse, a small black envelope. What's this? Something Jeffrey never knew about. Inside was a DNA report. I flipped it open. My name. A child's name. I froze. Jason, she's yours. Everything stopped. You were on that business trip. When it happened, I didn't even know I was pregnant until weeks after I planned to tell you. Then everything fell apart. I got scared. I didn't want to lose her too. You had a baby? My voice cracked. A daughter. Her name's Lily. She just turned 6. 6? She nodded. And she's incredible, smart, funny. And she looks exactly like you did in that college photo your mom used to keep on the bookshelf. I staggered back into the doorframe. I never wanted to keep her from you. But once it all blew up, I didn't think you'd ever speak to me again. And maybe I was right, but now I'm running out of time and she needs someone. You want me to, what, raise her? I want you to meet her, just once, and if you want to be part of her life. She'd be lucky. But if not, I'll understand. She left without waiting for an answer. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ocean until dawn, her words echoing louder than the waves. I had a daughter, a living, breathing piece of the life I thought I'd lost. 1 week later, I flew to Seattle. She met me at the cafe, a little girl in a yellow dress clutching a sketch pad, big brown eyes. My eyes. She looked up, curious. Natalie stood behind her, pale but smiling. Lily, she said gently, this is someone very special. The little girl tilted her head. Are you the lawyer? I chuckled. Yeah, that's me. You look like me, she said. And I laughed. Really laughed because somehow, after all the betrayal, the scorched earth, the courtroom wars, and the emotional rubble, I'd found something real. Not revenge, not redemption, but a reason. A new beginning, hidden in the ruins of an old life. Sometimes the most explosive endings aren't the ones that destroy. They're the ones that quietly rebuild. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.